In this tutorial, we are going to talk about the crop tool. Please open Elements and follow along. You can open a photo of your choice or open the same photo that I'm about to open called Lighthouse and follow along as we go. So as usual, I'm going to duplicate this photo. I'm going to keep that name. I get rid of my original. And now I have my lighthouse photo. Copy. I'm going to double click the hand tool and get it set to its maximum. And we're going to begin. The crop tool is located midway down the toolbar. It has a shortcut key of C. Hidden underneath the crop tool is the recompose tool. We will talk about that in our next tutorial. So for right now, we're going to choose C. Oops. And we are going to learn how to crop a photo. So I'm going to go up here, show you where I'm clicking, and I want to reset this tool. So I'm going to say reset tool, because if you can see to the right in the option bar, there are some settings that were left from before. So I'm going to reset. Now everything is blank. So here's the option bar that's related to the crop tool. We have a width, a height, and a resolution options. We have pixels and inches, or pixels and centimeters. We're going to stay with the pixels and inches. And to the left, there's a drop-down menu with lots of different choices, of which we will discuss in a second. So for the crop tool to work, basically all you have to do is click and drag. And so I have the no restriction option selected up here. And so with that, I can drag any of these little squares and choose however I want this to look. I can make this big, I can maybe go a little wider, maybe I want to make this look like a bit like a square. And if I want to keep this aspect ratio, but I want to move it, all I gotta do is click inside the lit area and drag it to wherever I want. Maybe I would like this to go like that. And if I look at the lit up area, that's the area I'm going to keep. The dulled out area would be what gets discarded. So I'm going to click the accept, and then I've made my crop. I'm going to go and undo that and go up and look at another option. Use photo ratio. So basically what that means is kind of tells you exactly what it is. It'll punch in what your photo ratio is here, and you will always remain with the same height and width that your photo was originally taken with. I can make it smaller, but the square is going to remain the same. I'm going to reject that. Now we're going to look at some other options. These are common photo sizes. Probably one of the most common would be the 4x6 photo, which is usually what you get printed when you go to Loblaws or Walmart or wherever you want to go get your photos printed. And so here it says 6, a width of 6, a height of 4, and a resolution is blank. So if you are going to print your photo, you should always make your resolution anywhere from 240 to 300. Well, not anywhere actually, it should be 240 or 300. I always like to print at 300, gives me the best quality. 240 is still okay, depending on the size that you're going to print. Alright, so if I'm going to drag this out, it doesn't matter what size of a rectangle I get here. I'm always going to print, my photo is always going to appear as a 4x6. So if I went with this little tiny rectangle like this, and I chose only that, this image would be a 4x6 picture. if I go as big as I can without letting it go outside the boundary, big as I can that way and big as I can this way, then now this would be a 4:6. So you always will maintain that ratio. Okay, let's reset this. And what about if I went to, I'm just going to choose a 5:7 for a second. What about if I wanted this to be cropped vertically? So I want it to be longer than I do wider. Well, up here, we have this little swap tool. So right now we have the width as of 7 and the height of 5. If I hit the swap tool, it's now going to change it so that my height is greater than my width. And so maybe I want to make my selection like this. Accept it. Kind of like that. And of course I had to put 300 in my resolution if I was going to print it. What about if I didn't want to print it and I wanted to email it? Well, if that's the case, 72 is the best option for you. The important thing when you choose your resolution is to know exactly what you want to do with the photo. Without getting in too much detail, the computer screen resolution is not very high. So if you want to send a photo to somebody through email, it'll still look really good if you choose a 72 resolution. The file size will be smaller and therefore easier to send through email. But the important thing to do is, if you're going to crop your photo, I'm going to crop this photo and I'm going to choose a 72 resolution. When I save it, I want to make sure that I say this is for email. Oops. And save it like that. Because if I don't, and I call up my Lighthouse photo sometime and I want to print it, it's going to be a very terrible quality print. So I'll cancel out of that. Go back to the original. So keep that in mind. Resolution, you choose depending on what you're planning to do. In this class, I would like us to use 300 for every time we're saving our photo. The last thing we can do is let's reset this again. We can customize the size that we would like. Maybe we bought a frame and the frame was 4 by 5. And that's the size that you want. So at a 300 resolution, 4 by 5. So now you're going to crop whatever you want in a 4 by 5. So you can customize the size whatever you want. Maybe it's 20 by 30. And if that's the case, you can still, doesn't matter what size it is, you're still going to end up with the size that you put in there. Make sure though that you use pixels per inch and it's not on centimeters, because you don't want a photo that's 4 centimeters long by 5 centimeters wide. That wouldn't be very good. So there we have it. And that's the crop tool, and we have a lighthouse that's located on Cape Spear, Newfoundland, which is the most easterly point in North America.